Downtown Baltimore. Every game live and in high definition on the ESPN networks.
You think about 3 weekends where you get total action, Saturday, Sunday, wall to wall. Started off on Sunday night, 9 o'clock selection show.
Keogh gets checked there, and this year quarterfinals gonna feel like a Final Four because there's no clear-cut top teams. I think that's fair to say. Their teams are so close. Maryland could be a 7 or 8 seed and could be the most talented team in the country. Or Virginia, if they get it going and right the ship.
We mentioned it earlier, the RPI scheduled to be released on Monday by the NCAA, and that'll change between now and May 8th. It's based on a 10-game sample. So that changes when a team plays in a conference tournament. 16 teams make the NCAA tournament, 6 AQs, 10 at-larges, and the RPI is a big factor in the at-large selection.
Who's the power school, the brand name that's in the most trouble, that's walking on eggshells right now, that really needs something good to break their way?
Good question.
Is it North Carolina with a game left against Notre Dame?
No, I don't think so. I think the big question to me is, which of the leagues is going to get 2 or 3 teams in? You know, Ivy League Team 2, CAA 2, Patriot League 2, or Big East 3, team like Villanova. Where's the spillover? And if there are upsets, does a team like Stony Brook even make the tournament if they don't get the AQ?
If they don't get the AQ. Probably not. They don't have a win. They don't have a resume win.
Does a team like Hofstra get in the tournament without the AQ? Does a team like Army make the tournament without the AQ?
Army's got a huge chip that no one else has with a win over Cornell. As Cornell continues to play well and move up the rankings, that's going to be a huge chip for Joe Alberici.
Does Denver? Where do you put Denver?
Denver gets a home
Denver's
game.
in.
Denver's in.
But what if they lose in the ECAC tournament?
If that becomes a 2-team league, some guys with North Carolina sweating it out. The North Carolinas of the world are sweating it out.
Loyola upsets Denver, let's say. Denver doesn't get the AQ. They get in. That bumps somebody else out.
Right.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
If Denver wins out, that's a 1-team league, wouldn't you think?
Yes, definitely. Unless Loyola upsets Johns Hopkins. Loyola still gets to play Johns Hopkins, which would be a quality win.
Kark, what do you think?
No way Army gets in without the AQ. I mean, when you look at it, yeah, you can hang your hat on that Cornell win, but you cannot get in the tournament on one big-time quality win.
Counterpoint.
I don't know. A lot of Georgetown fans would tell you Notre Dame got in last year with one
and guess who
quality
Army
win.
still has to play, gentlemen?
Well, yeah,
they finish up the season with a Johns Hopkins team. They get a win there.
They have to. Well, that's a big if.
They're in the mix.
Now we're speculating.
Yeah, now we're changing the resume.
They still have good games on their schedule. This time of the season, it's almost like you want to be playing tough games.
No, absolutely, which is why the ACC plays its tournament, to get those RPI games back up there. But Paul, at the end of the day, you got to get 16 teams out there, and their win. Carolina doesn't have a win like a win over Cornell. As there's a goal there by Palasek. A career day for Tommy Palasek. 3-3, 6 points for the transfer.
Palasek and Desko don't have to worry about whether they're going to host. They will be a top 8 seed and play a home game in the Carrier Dome, most likely on Sunday, May 15th after graduation in the Dome.
We'll continue to speculate, most likely maybe against the MAC champion, unless it's Detroit. Geography plays a role. The intricacies of the tournament. It's 1 through 8 are seeded, and then after that it is not seeded. Geography plays a major role, which will play again a major role this year with 2 flights almost guaranteed with games at Denver and Notre Dame. So, Paul, if you're saying Army needs to win the AQ, who do you think is safe? Is Carolina safe, or do the Tar Heels need to beat Notre Dame?
I think Carolina's in a little bit better situation. You gotta look at it from this standpoint. If Army loses in their Patriot League tournament, they'll have 5 losses. If they lose to Johns Hopkins, that's 6 losses on their schedule with 1 real quality win. So, I mean, how do you get them into the tournament without the AQ?
It's not about losses. Losses
Wins are bigger than losses. I mean, last year, you look back at Notre Dame's resume last year with losses to Fairfield, Rutgers, and Villanova at the time last year, and they still had that big chip of the early win over Duke, and it got them in the tournament over teams such as Georgetown, who had beaten them.
But Paul, I do agree with you, but losses don't mean anything. Our Army has a Cornell win. That in itself might not be enough.
Might not.
Depends on their RPI and their SOS, strength of schedule. But
so if losses don't mean anything, wins obviously do. I just
Correct.
don't think you could hang your hat on one big-time win.
So what's Carolina hanging its hat on? Penn? And the win over Maryland?
Penn legitimately can crash the Ivy party. I mean, they've had a quality season. They beat Duke this season as well. Penn's not too under the radar right now when you think about it.
Back here at Rentschler Field, Syracuse makes a switch in the cage as Galloway's night is done. Well, that's the other thing, Paul. You bring up a great point. What your opponents do the rest of the year plays a huge role, because last year, Delaware winning the CAA tournament helped out Johns Hopkins immensely.
Last year, Hofstra not in the CAA tournament. And late in the year, next thing you know, everyone that they had wins over, Army and Hopkins win. Also, Notre Dame last year wouldn't have made a Big East tournament if there was such a thing.
They would not have. You're
They benefited
correct.
late in the year. This is right now. This was done earlier this morning, truthfully, before today's results. I think it's pretty solid until number 6 or 7, and then from there, there's going to be a lot of changes over the. A team like Maryland, if they beat Duke tomorrow, is in the mix.
What stands out to you about Villanova's resume that you have them at 7? What's their big thing? Princeton?
High RPI.
That's a nice play, pass and a goal. Donahue from Ward. Number 17 has 2.
Rutgers still in the zone. Backside cut, ball watching defenders. Fill the space and finish. We were talking about Villanova. Wins over Drexel, Penn State, Penn.
Penn's the big one.
Princeton, Delaware, which we don't know what kind of value is that. Nova losses to Bucknell, Notre Dame, and Syracuse.
And Bucknell could win the Patriot League, which would make
Still
that.
very much to be determined. Are there wins there?
And they finish up with St. John's. They beat St. John's today.
The Big East will all benefit from a strong RPI
From
having
Syracuse and
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame.
Correct. Meanwhile, the ACC, in my opinion, vastly overrated, especially late in the season. When you look at the league,
They don't have the
as a whole,
wins.
out of conference, the league as a whole, all 4 teams, other than each other, they've only beaten one top 10 team all year.
And that's Virginia over Cornell.
Virginia beating
at
Cornell.
the Face-Off Classic.
Virginia's beaten Cornell, Stony Brook, Drexel. North Carolina's beaten Penn and Princeton.
Those are Carolina's
Maryland's
biggest
beaten Georgetown and Navy.
Duke doesn't really have a great win out of
Loyola,
conference.
that's it.
They beat Georgetown. That's not going to do
As a
anything.
league, you got one top 10 win, other than each other.
Clark, what do you think of the ACC this year?
I agree with Quint. I think it is a little bit overrated out of conference. They don't have a body of work. The team I'm really excited to watch play in the tournament is Denver. I think the Pioneers, you look at their 2 losses, a 1-goal loss against Notre Dame, and they played Syracuse in the Carrier Dome in February. This is a team that beat the hottest team in the nation in Duke. Very anxious to see what they're like come tournament time.
Paul, I want to get your opinion on Hofstra. Having seen them in the hotel this weekend, a little on the smallish side compared to some of the ACC and the Syracuse and Notre Dames that we've seen. What were they like from field level today?
Field level, they were fast, they were efficient. Their shooters, too, are 2 of the best in the nation when you think of Jay Card and Jamie Lincoln on the wings. And, Coach Seth Tierney told me they were doing some new things, some new patterns offensively to get these guys going. So I think this is a team that's not overly big, like you said. I wasn't impressed with their size, but they showed some speed as well.
Matt Lerman in the cage right now for Syracuse. As we take a look, if the season ended today, many of these leagues have tournaments to decide it, but right now, these would be your automatic bids. And if it's Detroit out of the MAC, then they would go to South Bend most likely, unless Notre Dame loses its last 2 games.
Yeah, the only 2 teams on the right side who are in as at-large really guarantees would be probably Denver and Cornell. Everybody else still has a lot of work to do.
Could you get 3 out of the Patriot League? Probably not.
Well, if Colgate beats Maryland in the last game of the season, maybe, and Army beat Hopkins, you never know.
That is one of the unique things about the schedule. The ACC ramps it up, plays its tournament and then still goes out of conference. Sometimes they're automatic wins, but this year there's some key games. Virginia at Penn's going to be a huge game.
Yeah.
Colgate at Maryland is going to be a big game because Colgate's a top 20 program.
And always tough for those ACC schools to decompress after the ACC rematches this weekend.
Back to football. The NFL Draft is this week, and ESPNU delivers the College Football Spring Blitz Draft Special Monday through Friday to provide viewers inside analysis and predictions from our experts. The College Football Spring Blitz Draft Special on ESPNU Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern. So how about that Friday night in May? Notre Dame at North Carolina. Is that a win and get in game for the Tar Heels? What a shot! A sting and a rip for Rutgers. Corey Kelly.
Tell you, Kelly's the big lefty. With the howitzer from the outside, this kid's been battling injuries all year, really hobbles, right knee injury, but he can rip it. Paints the corner from 15. Sweet music if you're Corey Kelly and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
So that ends the drought. Kelly showing off that ability that made him a heavily recruited player out of New Jersey as Clancy gets the assist. Had some knee issues at the end of his high school career and start of his collegiate career, so has yet to really be 100% for the Scarlet Knights. That ends the 11-0 run by Syracuse as Rutgers at one point in this ball game had a 1-0 lead. David Hamlin, number 31, out there on the defensive end for Syracuse. Kevin Hover with it for Rutgers. This is Swing moving it along. Rutgers has backup on the high shot.
Second line defense for Syracuse. Important for these young athletes to play well here. You've got to build trust. The coaching staff has to trust you, and you're earning that trust right now by playing well here in this final 2 minutes.
Kyle Carey will get called for the penalty and go to the box.
It's all about taking small steps when you're a backup player, whether it's midi, defense, attack, whatever your position. You earn some playing time in practice, you get the opportunity in the game, take advantage of it, regardless of the score or time in the game, and your coaching staff, Leland Rogers and Coach Desko right there, evaluating here on the fly. An injury happens, you'll be that next guy, you'll get a chance. Or your performance, you'll pass the starter.
And the other thing is, he's been honest with us all year. He's looking ahead to next year. He knows that, he has 7 players graduating going on in the MLL. He's gonna need some guys ready to play next year. So Rutgers with the extra man. Step down, shot blocked. Joe Moore took one for the team there. Nice hit. Nice save by Lerman. He has 2.
Good save by Lerman. Always tough coming in off the bench. He and Ben Levy are Galloway's backups, and they'll battle for the top spot.
He's out of the Philadelphia area that's producing some good goalies right now in Division I lacrosse. Dan Wigreiser down at Duke. Nico Amato at Maryland in the ACC. Out of the main line, the Interact League. Here's Ward losing his man. Getting a step, coming around goal line extended, and buries it.
Goalie Joe Donnelly and his Ward, the freshman, got to meet him last summer at the ESPN Rise games down in Orlando. Kid's a grinder, a worker, smart player, not gonna blow you away off the bus with his size or his speed, but he knows how to play. He can play without the ball. Love the high fake. Donnelly takes that step, and next thing you know, that space between the legs opens up.
makes it 12-2. As Syracuse will improve to 12-1. The Orange have to keep it in to run out the clock. And that will do it. John Desco's club gave up one early and one late. And between that, it was all Syracuse as the Orange improved to 12-1 and now gear up to host #1 Notre Dame at the Carrier Dome next Saturday night right here on ESPNU.
Really impressive defensive performance by Syracuse, staying in their man-to-man, dominating Rutgers. John Galloway, when called upon, made some good stops in his typical great outlet passes. Slow starting offense against the zone, but once they figured it out, it was good. I thought Jojo Marasco and Palasek, Tommy Palasek, were about as good as we've seen them this year.
As we take a look back at the performance from number 14, 6 points for the transfer from Johns Hopkins. Doing it in a variety of ways.
That's an easy point right there. Nice fake from the wing. Look at him get to the middle of the field.
He is our Dick's Sporting Goods player of the game, a 6-point effort, 3-3, and he's standing by with Paul Carcaterra.
Tommy Palasek, 3 goals, 3 assists, career high in terms of overall points. Starting to feel more of an offensive quarterback position back there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we got some injuries right now, obviously, with Timmy out. So I'm just trying to play the role that I'm supposed to. You know, coach has standards, and it doesn't matter who's out there. He hopes that we're going to fulfill those standards.
You look at this offense since that 6-goal loss against Cornell. What has changed offensively? You're putting up some numbers the last few games.
You know, I don't think much has changed. You know, came out, we were kind of sloppy against Cornell. The strength of our team is that we're able to forget it pretty quickly and move on and just keep going in practice every day and trying to be sharper each day in practice.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, Paul, so now we shift the spotlight to the Carrier Dome. Give us a look ahead, Quint. What's the line?
Next week, they will play for the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. The Orange will host Notre Dame. Defense, defense, defense. It's going to be fun to watch.
Once again, our final score here, Game 2 of the ESPNU Warrior Classic. Syracuse wins it by 10, 12-2. Coming up next, Sports Center U. That will be followed by Navy against #2 Johns Hopkins from Homewood. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Syracuse improves to 12-1. Now let's send it to Lolo Galindo in the studio.